Hey guys, this is Mike again. So today we're gonna start a two-part series which covers my workflow using Superior Drummer when it comes to mixing a song using Superior Drummer. This was one of the most asked questions I get all the time, and I read quite often in forums like that. Like people asking how to use Superior Drummer, questions like, do you mix inside the software or do you mix inside your DAW or hybrid solution? And if so, why you do this, how you choose the right library and the right sample. So in this two-part series, which is gonna be in depth on the stuff, I'm gonna show you and lead you through a song, an actual song using Superior Drummer, and I will explain in detail what I did and more importantly, why I did this. So without further ado, let's start. So I'm happy to announce that this video is sponsored by DistroKit. So what is DistroKit? DistroKit is a service that musicians can use to put their music into online stores and all the streaming services, for instance, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube, and a bunch more. You can even upload now to TikTok. The cool thing is that they just ask for a yearly subscription fee, and not like many others of those services. They charge you per release, and so DistroKit is starting from $19.99 per year, which is insanely affordable. The moment it's online, DistroKit will help you to collect the money or collect the money for you. You will see, just like in YouTube analytics, you will see statistics, how your song is performing or your album is performing on each and every platform. And they offer a ton of more features. So you really should check them out if you plan to release your own music or you already uploaded your own music. You may consider go to DistroKit. I can highly recommend this. And the cool thing is now that DistroKit gave me a special VIP link, which you find right now, right here, and of course in the description box, so you can click on that link. And with this link, when you enter the subscription using that link, you get even 7% discount on your first year's subscription, no matter which you're gonna choose, if it's gonna be the core, the basic one, which is just 20 bucks a year, the medium one, or even the pro one. So 7% discount in your first year, and you help my channel because I get a little share of that the moment you use my links. So thanks in advance for this. You should check them out. Go to DistroKit. You find tons of information online. A really great service. So highly recommend this. So for this example, I decided to work and use an actual song because it doesn't make sense just to show you the drums. It makes more sense, and I think it's getting more obvious when you see this mixing and routing and like finding the right pieces of the instrument in an actual context with a song. So the song for this session is called The Elephant by an artist called Robert Hammond. It's a multi-track recording, and you see so far I haven't touched anything. It's just like about, first of all, finding the right balance. And here we are already talking about my preparations and how I use Superior Drummer in my mix flow or in my workflow. I treat Superior Drummer, and you see I loaded an instance of the Death and Decades SDX, which is the death part here. It's just the default kit. The only stuff I did is that I removed the instruments that I know I won't use for that song. The song itself, and I will show you like a sneak preview of the song, like the first 30 seconds, so you get an idea what we're talking about. This song came with live acoustic drums, which have been recorded. But to show you this example and to use that song, because it's a straightforward like indie rock stuff, I decided to transfer the acoustic drums using the tracker feature in Superior Drummer. So to convert the actual drum performance into MIDI so I can use it within Superior Drummer. I've already once made a full tutorial on how to import audio and translate it into MIDI with the series that I did last year, where I mixed the full song start to finish using the tracker function. If you haven't seen the series, I highly recommend this. I would put a link in the video description or probably in the info box now on the screen. So without further ado, let's have a sneak preview on the song, and I will first show you the acoustic drums and mute Superior Drummer by now. So just playing the first 30-40 seconds so you get an idea of this song. Here we go. So you see straightforward drum beat, but it sounds great. The song is really great. So you heard the acoustic drums don't sound that bad, but we don't need it. So let me just mute them and hide them for now so they won't get in the way here of our actual mix. So before I even touch any plugin, either in Superior Drummer or in my DAW, and I will show you how I do this and why I do this, I first start with the balance of the song. When you remember one of my last videos, I will put the link in for that in my video description as well. I talked about the importance of finding the right balance and how important it is. So I treat Superior Drummer in this case as my common drums. It's not just a plugin which gives me good drum sounds. And you know I'm not a big fan of presets. So I will start from scratch, and I will show you now how I do this. So first of all, what I do is I route out already right now, because I'm working in my DAW. I'm routing out the stuff that I need into my DAW, from which I know I will probably use. And sometimes Superior Drummer and some other softwares as well can get quite overwhelming with just the pure amount of tracks they provide. Probably you won't ever need, or you don't need all the room microphones, for instance. It's just about having options. So to get a starting point, I just make the common routing option, which you can either achieve by going into the mixer window here and hit apply multi-channel outputs. When you click here, you see that Superior Drummer already automatically changes the outputs from individual instruments to your DAW in this case. In my DAW, I don't know which you use, but in Reaper, when you load Superior Drummer, the tracks 1 to 2 up to 31, 32 is already automatically created, so you don't have to take care of that. Otherwise, you have to do it manually, just like adding tracks and assigning to Superior Drummer. So this is a cheap and fast way to do this. However, I keep it with stereo because I want to decide how much tracks I want to have in my actual DAW, because as you saw, the toms, for instance, were all grouped and summed together in one bus, which is totally fine, but I want to have control of it. So let's start first with the kicks. So I will probably route out all the kick-in microphones. You have condenser, in this case, 2 dynamic microphones, it doesn't care. Sometimes you have libraries where you just have 1 kick drum microphone. I just want to have control. This is like what's giving me the actual attack of the kick. So I leave them with 1 and 2. The kick sub microphone will get its own track, 3 and 4. And if you know and remember, I once made a video as well about making the tracks mono. There are mono signals. What you can do is you can pan the stuff hard left, hard right, and assign the individual income in your DAW or the receiving channel to mono 1 and 2, so they will get mono signals. But in the end, it's the same. So I route kick into 1, 2, kick sub to 3 and 4. I don't need the left kick because I'm just playing 1 kick. This is the right one. So just not to get confused, you can highlight the tracks, right click with your mouse and click hide channel. So they just will disappear, and you can always go back here to the top where it says edit visibility. And then you see they pop up again with this blue highlighted word hide in the top. So you can just like bring them back in, but that's what, so I already clean up this stuff. Snare top bottom, usually routing together the snare top to 5 and 6. Snare bottom, I want to have own control. In this case, the hi-hat gets an own channel. I don't do this every single time. Sometimes the hi-hats are just annoying and distracting. In this case, as is my usually template, I'm going to use the hi-hats. So I know that I have a rag tom, which is then going to be 11 and 12. And I use the first floor tom, which is then 13 and 14. And what I'll do already right now, I will pan everything into the middle, because even the panning decision, like where to pan instruments like the toms or the hi-hat, I will do in my DAW. So I just send the pure audio signal from Superior Drummer into my DAW. So just make sure everything is set in the middle. Same for the hi-hat here. Kick and snare are in the middle anyway. And I will start with, of course, the overheads, which are then 15, 16, and the ambience mids, which are set by default, then to 17, 18. I will keep some of the channels here open because during the song and during the preparation of the song, I might decide to give the right channel or the splash an own channel if I think that that's needed for the song. Same for the other ambience microphones. So I just start with the most common approach, just a pair of overheads and a pair of room microphones. And what I'm gonna do now, when I play the song, you will hear all the tracks popping up. So I will already assign them. So this 1 and 2 is the kick in. This is the kick sub in this case. Snare top. So just, even though it might be boring, you just want to follow along. So this is going to be the rack tom, and this will be the floor tom, overheads, and just call it room. So that's the most common approach. So I already assigned. So what I'm going to do now, before I start choosing the right amount of level and what I actually do in Superior Drummer, I will play the song now for some seconds and already start to make those panning and volume decisions in the song, because this of course will affect which sounds I pick from the software Superior Drummer. So let's now listen to the song several times and you will see me moving some faders, doing some panning decisions. It's maybe not the final decision, but you get an idea. So here we go. So you see it's already peaking. So what I'm gonna do is in Superior Drummer, I will bring down all the levels just equally down to maybe 4 or 5 dB. So I will do the final volume control in my DAW and not in Superior Drummer in the first place. And the same with the tracks here. The music, just bring it down by, let's say, 6 dB, and let's see how this sounds. One thing I decide already right now is where to put the drums. Either it's a drummer's perspective or the audience perspective. Even though I panned all the stuff in my DAW, what you need to check though is in the overheads, because the hi-hat, even though I send it dead center, as you see here in the panning knob, and I will pan them probably from audience perspective, so the hi-hat probably on the right side. However, in the overhead channel, the hi-hat is still coming from the left side. I will show you what I mean. So let me play this part here again where the verse is kicking in. So you can check this soloing the overheads, going to Superior Drummer, go to the mixer button here and hit stereo reverse mixer. What Superior Drummer is going to do, and you will see this on the tom channels for instance, they will flip the sides. So everything that was on the right side is going to be on the left side and vice versa. So let's listen to the overheads when I flip this, how the hi-hat will change. So you clearly hear when I change that, the hi-hat is now coming from the right side. So you have to make sure you think of this, because otherwise it will be a distracting sound when the hi-hats are coming from the right side and the overheads in the ambience channels and your direct mic is coming from the left side. So I will flip the side here, not the polarity. So now I can pan the hi-hat to the right side accordingly. And as I explained in my last video, when the hi-hat is coming from the right side, sorry, the rag tom and is probably coming from the right side either, not so far. I don't like to pan my toms hard left and hard right, and the floor tom slightly to the left side. So here we go. And now I found a kind of a level. What I do right now is that I start to change the settings in the software and not in the DAW, because I just want to make sure that the software is sending the right amount of audio level, the right sound, the right ratio between the tracks in the software before I start the actual mixing. I cannot stress this enough. You shouldn't use compression or equalization to compensate for level. Bring the tracks and the song to a level that has already sounded good right from the start. So this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to slightly adjust the levels that's going into my W. So now I'm more or less happy, and this is the next step, finding the right sounds here for the song. I will leave Superior Drummer open even through the mixing process. So I won't render the tracks into WAV files and mix them from there and import them. I will keep Superior Drummer open. My computer is powerful enough. You see in the top right corner, currently I'm running a kit that needs 2 GB of RAM, but my computer can handle this. So even though I'm gonna start throwing in equalization, compression, all the fancy stuff in my DAW on the drums, I will keep Superior Drummer open in case that during the process I might decide that I go for another snare or another cymbal. I can easily do this. I try to commit to a song, to a sound here, which I'm gonna start right now, finding the right snare and the toms for that song. But first it was important that you find the balance. Because otherwise you're gonna be tricked and fooled by just level jumps, you know. If you go through the list of kicks and one kick is getting louder than the one that you start with, like the default kit here, you are more likely to tend to pick the louder kick drum, even though it might not be the best option from a sounds perspective. So that's the reason now I have the feeling for the song, how the song should sound like from a ratio perspective, how loud the drums in this case should be in comparison to the vocals and the bass guitar and the rhythm guitars. So now I can fine tune and find the right sounds for that song. So let's start with the hi-hat. On the opening part, there is this open hi-hat part, and when hi-hats are harsh, they can be distracting and annoying, especially playing hard beats, 8 notes on the open hi-hat. So let's listen to the start of the song and swipe through the 3 different hi-hats. So you see currently it's the Meinl Bison's medium. I will just go through and test which sounds better. And the same for the rest of the kick. So I will just go through different things and let's see what sounds better. And you hear I don't listen to the individual sounds in solo because it doesn't make sense. I want to hear how they sound in the context of the song, if they have a certain flavor already to them right from the start. So of course I will tweak and change the sound using EQ, but the less I need to do to make the snare in this case pop out of the mix, the better for the sound quality. Those samples are recorded already amazingly well, so you probably won't run into too much annoying stuff on the instruments itself because they used high-end gear and microphones. But however, the moment the snare is already popping out right from the start, the better for you. So let's find the right one here, going back to the verse. I have to confess that I'm a huge Ludwig Black Beauty fan. For whatever reason, those snare always sound great. So now I'm deciding between the Tama Brabus 1980s, which is the famous Metallica snare, and Nirvana, Nevermind, the Drumcraft Brabus, or the Ludwig Black Beauty. So I will just go between the three of them, maybe jumping to several parts of the song, and then let's see what sounds best for me.
Don't you see? What's this for? Is it just...
I think I will gonna keep the Ludwig Black Beauty just because it has a little bit more body than the Drumcraft, which has a little bit more crack and high end, but I think I can deal with this during the mixing process because I know I just need to maybe tune the Ludwig Black Beauty here right from the top and just bring it up a little bit, tune it a little bit higher. But right now I'm happy. So the final step right now before I start the mix actually is again using Superior Drummer as a tool, as a preparation tool. I will adjust some of the settings here on the right and I will explain afterwards why I do this. So what I did, several things. So first of all, I've tested if the tuning of the Black Beauty here and this tuning section will help to already brighten it up a little bit. This whole section here on the right side are the global settings, which means whatever you change here will affect the particular instrument in the whole software and not just on individual tracks. So tuning up the snare here and then hit process makes sure that there's an artificial process going on in the background, that the snare drum is tuned accordingly in even in all the room tracks, or if you decide to enable some of the mic bleeding and other tracks. So I always recommend to hit process here, just wait a second until the samples are loaded, and then this will end up in a more realistic sound. Same for the level settings here, which are sometimes underrated. This level setting here is, again, it's globally. So this will affect the snare in every single channel in the mixer or in the recording here, and not just bringing up. Where when you bring up the snare here, it's just the individual snare track or the microphone, but this won't affect, of course, the overhead and the ambience. You can always manually decide to bring up the level or change the ratio, but once you are happy with the ratio and the volume perspective, changing the global setting here on the right will keep the ratio between the direct microphones and the room microphones and the overheads in the instance. So I can just decide to bring up the snare quite a little bit more without like dealing between the 10 different channels where the snare is maybe coming from. So set the level, set the ratio in the drum set, then change the global settings here. The next thing I did is that here on the layer limits, I brought them all to unlimited, which, as you see what toontrack is saying here, set the maximum polyphony, number of simultaneously sounds, and this minus means unlimited. It means the software is picking from the sample pool and the layers they recorded with the different velocities, the maximum amount possible. I don't do this for every single instrument. Usually the most important ones are the most articulate ones, which are the snare and the hi-hats. So that gives me the most realistic results. Same here for the hit variation. Usually those 3 out of 4 are already enabled. I use usually the alternate hits, which means that the software is emulating hitting the snare with the right and the left hand, which comes handy when you programmed or you played actual fills on the snare, so fast 16ths or something. It will sound, it's subtle, but it will sound more realistic. So I usually adjust that. If you're playing, for instance, fast 16ths on a hi-hat, like a pattern or even 30-second notes, it might be an option to enable this. And one of the things I check usually during the mix, that I bring up the smoothing here. You heard maybe some minutes ago in the bridge of the song, the drummer was smashing one crash cymbal, like 8 notes on the crash cymbal. By bringing up this smoothing level here, it makes sure that you don't hear single hits one after another, but it will create this cymbal swell effect. So it sounds more realistic, like you were doing on an acoustic drum. So that's pretty much it, at least for this part. I'm happy with the overall balance, with the overall volume. What I'm gonna do right now is that I'm probably gonna hide those channels, and I keep Superior Drama open, as I said, just in case I want to play maybe with. So far I'm happy, and I think I'm gonna get good results with this track. However, maybe during the mixing process I decide that I try different ambience channels, maybe the mono channel, which is always very useful. Compressing a mono signal very hard gives the drums a little bit more dirt and grit and like punch to the sound. And maybe I'm gonna play along with the individual microphones here on the China and the splash cymbal, just to control them a little bit more. But this is like a topic for another video. If you want to see me mixing this song start to finish, just let me know. I'm considering doing it, but now I'm ready. This is my preparation. This is my routing and my mixing process using Superior Drummer. And now, for now, when I really actually mix the song, I will close Superior Drummer and put it here in the background, maybe even hide it so I don't see it. I'm not distracted or tempted to always go back to Superior Drama and change the instruments. Now I want to commit to the instruments. And you see, when I now look at my mixing template, I will start to do the color coding and setting up my template and the processes. And this is the reason, in the first place, I want to send everything into Superior Drummer, because here is where I do all my routing, sending reverbs, parallel compression, creating buses. Maybe I make a bus with the bass and the drums. And I can't do this when I use a preset and mix everything in Superior Drummer, because the control I have in my DAW is just bigger. So that's what I usually do and start with. So now I have found more or less my levels, and now I could start to actually mix. So I will run now the song for a final time and shut up, then just let the song play the whole time. If you have any questions regarding this topic, please leave a comment below. Thanks ever so much for staying until the end. If you want to know something about the topic that I address something specifically, please let me know. Would be happy to work on this stuff. Have a fantastic week making music, guys, and thanks so much for watching, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.